Meanwhile, Chris Christie today received the endorsement of the state's largest environmental group. As environment correspondent Ed Rogers tells us, the endorsement by the Environmental Federation was more of a rejection of the Corzine administration's policies.
It was the first time the Environmental Federation has endorsed a Republican. In the 27 years the group has supported candidates running for statewide office.
Chris Christie embraced working with us. He came up with very specific, he's beginning a rap that he's not putting out specifics. This is a very specific agenda he's laying out today. It's something that he can run on proudly, is running on proudly, that we wholeheartedly support.
The group's leaders say they based the decision on Christie's position on several key issues. Christie says he opposes construction of a coal gasification plant in Linden that would pipe carbon dioxide off the Jersey coast and into the ocean floor. Corzine hasn't committed to opposing the project. Christie also says he'll strengthen the state's Category 1 stream protection program. The Corzine administration removed 300 of 600 miles of streams originally proposed to receive the strictest environmental protections. And the Republican has promised to end fish kills caused by the cooling systems at the Oyster Creek and Salem nuclear power stations.
We're going to have to come up with a strategy to cool those waters. Cooling towers is one option. We'll sit down and we'll bring all the stakeholders together. The folks who are standing here, the people from the utilities, we're all going to have to come together and come up with a way, because it is no longer deniable what it's doing to our waterways.
Christie also committed to finding a permanent source of open space funding, saying perhaps tapping the sales tax would be a possibility. He also says he's opposed to the open space ballot question before voters this fall that would require $400 million in borrowing for new Green Acres purchases. He said he'd also restore the Division of Science and Research to the state DEP. It's a unit that's been reorganized under Corzine. And Christie says he would return to having a bear hunt in the state rather than depending on non-lethal methods. What's odd about the endorsement is that the Environmental Federation has opposed the licensed site professional program in the DEP. Christie has supported the privatization move, which would allow developers to hire contractors to oversee the cleanup of hazardous waste sites.
Nobody agrees with anybody 100% of the time, but he has a strong agenda he's laying out here today, and he's running against an incumbent who has a horrible environmental record, especially after Lisa Jackson left.
The Federation endorsed Corzine in 2005.
So there's some stresses on individual positions that I can understand, but I think we're choosing the right direction for both recovery of the economy and protection of the environment.
There is a split among environmental groups this year. The Sierra Club has endorsed independent candidate Chris Daggett.
You know, this is a leap of faith by the Federation, and you'll have to see if he gets elected what will happen. But our concern was that, you know, when we met with Christie, he said a lot of good things, but the proof is in the record, and you know, he doesn't have the record that Chris Daggett has.
A third group, Environment New Jersey, won't be endorsing anyone in this contest, saying none of the candidates are strong enough on the environment. That leaves the Green vote splintered in the last month of this race. Ed Rogers, NJN News, Trenton.